It's showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
And a fine Saturday matinee to you both.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
I adore that we are all suffering together now. I thought that we were going to get a break and that I was going to get to wake up late, but no, now you've scheduled things that require us to do this still in the dark.
No. The sun's up here. Are you in the dark?
I'm in the dark.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forget. You're like in the Arctic Circle, where the sun doesn't come up till like 11 a.m.
No, he gets
Aurora Borealis.
He gets the sun like for 1 month in the summer, and then it doesn't set.
You guys clearly need to come just even a little bit north, because I don't think where you think I live is really where I live.
See, I'm gonna go to Scotland because I want to visit Stephen Smart, because there's some weird Aurora Borealis type thing up there that they've named Steve. So, yes. So Steve, we're going to go visit Steve up there in Scotland. I saw some article, and in Scotland, it's some weird Northern Lights thing. And for some reason it's called Steve. So if I'm going way up north, I'm going to do it there so I can visit my namesake.
It makes me wonder how many Steves have made that journey.
Me too.
Is it becoming a physical meme? Like Steves are going to go visit Steve?
I don't know, but it may be. I think, we need to start like a fund for that, to take all the Steves that are listening, and we head out there and visit Steve. And then we can hang out in Stephen Smart's little, his underground home theater bunker. Yeah.
Yes. The theater bunker.
I'm afraid if I visit his bunker that I would just never leave.
You would never leave. That is the truth. How are your movie lives?
Mine's been really slow, but we did last night for family movie night. We put on Hugo to watch with the kids, which was, it's just a delightful movie about the passion of movies and stuff. That
had they not seen it?
Olivia had. Parker hadn't.
Okay, and
he didn't make it through. He falling asleep before we got to the end, but I'm sure he'll want to finish it because he was really enjoying it. And it's always exciting to watch something like that. And then I said to the kids, I'm like, hey, after this, do you want to watch A Voyage to the Moon? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, oh no, warms my heart. Let's go watch some Georges Méliès.
It's not going to end well.
Now.
They liked Metropolis, though, right?
That's right, exactly.
Yeah. So,
that's true.
Yeah,
all right,
so
that's right.
Yeah, he's turned them into like little Criterion fanatics. So they're,
Daddy, let's subscribe to Filmstruck for Christmas.
Yeah, it's like, Pete, you've got your daughter going to Hunger Games camp, and Andy's kids are going to like Criterion camp, where they're going to sit and shot by shot breakdowns of Buster Keaton movies.
You guys joke about that Hunger Games camp that my daughter attends. I'll have you know, she just landed her first job as an intern counselor at that Hunger Games camp. So she is no longer learning from them; she is teaching them.
Oh my!
How about that?
The revolution has begun. The children will rise up. Yes.
It was 2 weeks ago, I think, family movie night. I introduced my kids to Jaws. It was a tough opening 2 minutes, but after my son, he was like, turn it off. Okay, let's go again. Let's try it again. And so we got through the whole thing. After we got through that, so last night it comes family movie night, and we're all trying to agree. And my daughter and my wife had both agreed on The Post, that we were going to watch The Post as a family.
Oh, okay.
And my son looks up and he says, we're watching Coco. You owe me. So none of us had seen Coco, and we missed it in the theater, and it was really delightful. What a fantastic little film that is.
It is.
Oh, yeah. It is. It's great. Actually, we have, this is the week I've been getting like free movie stuff. So we had, because the internet owns everything that you do. So I just embrace that. I'm part of the whole Disney movie rewards. So when I buy tickets online, I get my Disney points. So I had accrued enough points. We have a now like plush, what is his name? Pepita, the weird like cat, goat, dragon, spirit animal. Yes. Got one for
that
free.
Was so good.
Yes.
No, really?
Yeah, free. And the thing is, like, I don't know, maybe
is
like
it life size? Because
no.
I want it to be the size of like my garage.
No, it's not. But it's probably, I want to say it's probably about 12 inches tall, 12 or 14 inches tall. So it's a good substantial size that I got for free with my points. So I got that. And then Warner Brothers, I'm like on the A-list community where I just answer surveys. And I got an email yesterday saying, hey, we appreciate you. Here's a link to download Dunkirk. And here's a link to the score that you can download. So I'm like, just getting movie swag all over the place.
You thrifty internet shopper.
Yeah. So there's that.
I read this. Did you read the article about like Hank and Marge crack the internet or the state lottery? Because that seems to be you. These two old people who actually discovered the secret to their state lottery and won like $24 million.
Oh no!
Of course, they actually solved the lottery. Yeah. Didn't think that was a thing. Turns out it's a thing. That's Steve.
What state was this that was running the lottery? Was it?
That was crackable.
It was crackable. It was it was like, well, those numbers won. Let's take those out of the mix, and then we'll just keep going. Eventually, it's like, okay, your Powerball number is 8, because that's all that's left.
It's the only ball left in the bucket. It's pretty funny.
I did get out to see Love, Simon last.
Nice.
It was just Sunday, so I do highly recommend that. I think Andy, that was your trailer pick.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
a couple months ago,
yeah.
And it really lives up to what my expectations were of a really good teen, sort of like dramatic comedy that just really takes teens seriously. And it's a delightful movie. So much fun. It's something that I think people are going to really enjoy. And what was interesting to me, I'd never seen this before. Usually at the end of credits, you'll see maybe that if you hang around the end credits, it'll be a statement of like, X number of jobs, were created because of this movie, like 5,000 or 10,000 people worked on this movie. This one had right up front, the director and the main star saying, hey, we just wanted to say thanks for coming out to see this in the theater. Like coming out and actually sitting in the theater to see it, not waiting to get it on, digital later or pirating it. It was just like, hey, we appreciate you. Thank you for coming out and seeing it on the screen. And I've never seen that before. I don't know if that's a new thing.
It's a thing that they've been doing more and more of, because when I went to see The Greatest Showman, they did that before it. It was the director and Hugh Jackman, and it was the same thing. They're like, right. We love people coming to see something like this in the theaters, so please keep supporting it. And it's an interesting thing that they're pushing.
Yeah.
I thought you were leaning into the coming out thing as like a gay gag. Like, thanks for coming out to see this at the theater. You're all gay now. You're all gay. Well done, Simon. High fives to everybody.
Yeah, that wouldn't play well here in Arizona.
Look, I need to talk about Bushwick.
Oh, yeah, I saw your notes. That made me really sad.
You have no one to blame but yourself. It was below your 6-star IMDb rule, so you knew you were on your own.
I was deeply hoping for the Batista corollary to the 6-star IMDb rule. I was hoping that
it's a whole new thing.
That there's a whole new little thing that Batista would buoy the rest of the movie, because I really like Dave Batista and I want him, like, he's the more subdued Rock. I think he's great, and this movie, there was some of it that was fine, and it was trying to do some really interesting things. It's a movie that tries to do essentially this all in one shot, right? It's this chaos thing where a loving couple comes up out of the subway to discover that they've gotten into Bushwick and it's a war. Like, there's a war going on, and they just come up out of the ground and people are shooting at each other and falling off of buildings, and it's just chaos reigns. And so it's just one long tracking shot behind Brittany Snow as she goes through her adventure trying to get to grandma's house and then her sister's house and then out of Bushwick. And in the process, she runs into Dave Bautista, and they go on their part of the adventure together, the sister, etc. But and I would say, there have been movies that have done this one-shot thing before, and this movie doesn't do it as well, right? I mean, there are just a lot of cuts that you feel like, okay, I know those are cuts. He zooms in on stairs, people walking up and down stairs so many times that but clearly stairs become an obvious cut. But they're trying to do something interesting, trying to do something different. It's an interesting story that as they unravel why they're at war in Bushwick, it's interesting. And then the last 10 minutes of the movie happens, and you start getting angry, and you get angrier and angrier as you get to the last, I'd say 45 seconds. The movie completely turns in 45 seconds, and you'll hate it. I hated it. I got so mad at what they did at the end of this movie that I really regret not turning it off and keeping it as 5 stars about 20 minutes
That's
in.
what I was going to say. That was the 5-star cutoff?
It would have been the 5-star cutoff at about 20 minutes. It would have remained a solid little film in my heart of hearts. And instead, I regret that I let it just deteriorate and whittle those stars off over the last little bit, because now I feel like I'm owed stars.
It's really frustrating. That's
me.
Always the worst, when it's something that has potential and then you just see it squander that potential over the entire course of the film until it ends up pretty much in the negative.
Yeah, it really is. It ends on such a dour note. Yeah, it was hard. It's hard. I wanted the movie to be so much better, and man, it didn't. I didn't even check what is the IMDb rating on this one. I didn't even look.
Half a star? No, I don't know. The thing was, you mentioned that
too generous.
I'd never even heard of this movie, so I did. I mean, you were
5.
just intentionally Were you intentionally seeking out every Dave Bautista movie? Are you one of these completionists where you're like, I'm going to see every movie he's in?
Well, we did the trailer pick for this.
We did the trailer pick for it, and so it'd been on my radar for that, and so I was curious. It was Bautista, produced it. He's big on it. It definitely showcases what he's capable of doing in a more sort of gritty, realistic fighting movie. Where just a straight up brawler. He's ex-military, but so much of the problem comes in the script. So many of what could have been really beautiful little like sentimental moments are telegraphed so early. The mystery is revealed so early in the film, I think unintentionally so. That they start dropping these hints that you just know how it's going to play out way too soon, and that's frustrating. That's frustrating. It's a movie that should have been better. Could have been better.
That's a bummer.
Ugh.
That's a big bummer.
It's a bummer.
But now I don't have to. I can take it off my list. Don't have to watch
take it off the list. Take it off the list. Because it's been sick week. I've been knocking off a lot of movies, and some of them my son wins, some of my win. We finished The Expanse, the TV series, season 2, which is still great. Steve, did you actually dive into it?
No, something else came up, and it's like, dang it.
There's always something.
There's always, I need a block of time. Maybe I just need a Saturday to just say, okay, 9 a.m., let's go, and just get a good chunk, because I tried to get in and it was so dense. And it's like, after I was off for it was 2 weeks between episodes, I was like, I can't even remember where I was going with this. So
yeah, it's tough. But the second season is even better than the first. I mean, it just is. It's tight. I saw Power Rangers with Nicholas.
I saw that.
Power Rangers.
I noticed you didn't give it a star rating.
No. It was fine. We had a good time. But no. Yeah. Anyway.
Oh, wow.
What do you think? Should we do some trailers?
Yeah, let's kick them off. I think we're going to, I don't know, I'd say we should do a thumb war to see who gets to pull the A24 rule. But
Pete, you didn't get the memo about it's all A24 trailers this week?
I did not get the memo. I only watched your trailers this morning. It just full of regret.
Well, I don't know. Do we just flip this upside down and take sympathy on Pete and let him go first because he's not A24?
I think
And then that
maybe
solves the issue.
maybe that's a new rule. It's the A24 cancel factor. If there's more than one, they cancel each other out.
Unless one of them's a red band, but we don't have that this week.
Yeah, no, we don't.
The red band trumps everything.
That's right.
Obviously, it was the first and only rule.
So, Andy, at some point, we need 2 red band A24 trailers going head to head.
Oh wow!
Then it's just alphabetical.
Then it's just that's just apocalypse. It's just
That's right.
just shut this thing down. It's
End of
game over.
times.
Well, I am bringing a true story. I can't believe it. This is actually a true story, but I'm very excited about this movie on so many levels. It is called Tag, and it tells the story of a 30-year-long game of tag that some friends have been involved in, and that they wrote up as an article in The Guardian in 2013. Somebody saw it and said, "Hey, this would be a great movie." And now John Hamm is in that movie. Oh my goodness. It is just fantastic. Cast: Annabelle Wallis, Jeremy Renner, John Hamm, Leslie Bibb, Rashida Jones, Isla Fisher, Jake Johnson, Ed Helms, Brian Dennehy, Hannibal Buress, Sebastian Maniscalco. It's a massive cast, and it really is just that simple. It is the story of these people playing tag and the lengths to which they will go to play the tag as adults. Now, the trailer showcases some really, ridiculous things. Who in their right mind would actually tag someone at their father's funeral? And you think that's ridiculous until you go back and read the Guardian article and realize that these guys are actually the ridiculous ones. The true story is the ridiculous one. The lengths to which they will go to tag one another. It's just great. It looks very funny to me. Director Jeff Tomsic, written by Rob McKittrick, Mark Steilen. Mark Steilen. We'll go with Mark Steilen. And it's coming out this summer. What'd you think?
Oh my gosh. I just watched this and was instantly enthralled by the idea of this lifelong game of tag, which I immediately told you. I'm like, we have to figure out a way to start this. It's just, it's so funny. I got just the biggest delight from watching this, and just the whole concept, the fact that it is a true story. The casting is great. I mean, what a great group of people. I love the idea of seeing Jeremy Renner in a comedy because he's often so heavy and serious in his choices, or more the action sort of guy. And so it's great seeing him in here. And John Hamm, you're right. I mean, seeing him in the comedy is just fantastic. And you did mention Sebastian Maniscalco, but he's just like one of my favorite comedians out there right now. And to see that he's in it as the pastor, I think that's just fantastic. So I am just so incredibly excited about checking this one out. So I'm so glad that you picked it, even if it's not A24.
Yeah. No, it's exciting to see movies that are just fun. And the trailer starts because I thought, this is this great concept, but how do you sustain a movie with this? Where does this go? And the idea that Jeremy Renner's character has never been tagged once. So we've got some stakes there that I'm interested to see where this goes. And then one of the characters in the trailer, I think it's one of the wives or girlfriends, says something about how, this game of tag has really kept these guys connected. So I think what I'm looking forward to is, the silliness of the tag, but an interesting story about, a group of friends that they've gotten older, how you maintain those friendships. So it looks like a nice balance to me of not just, we're going to go with ridiculous, tag that I can't bear an hour and a half of that. I need something to keep me going. And it looks like this has that. And with this cast, I'm just thrilled. I mean, there's so many great little moments when they talk about like synchronizing their watches, and it's like I don't wear a watch, and then Hannibal Buress is like, time is a construct, and I'm like, no. Love him. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. When's this coming out? This is sometime this summer, right?
June 15th
okay.
in the US.
Oh, right.
It's For me, it's what Episcopalians don't eat fish.
Yeah.
That sold me on the whole thing. Jake Johnson is one of my very favorite comic actors right now, and I get very excited when I see him kind of ratcheting up his, his title, in these movies. Now he's got Tom Cruise with The Mummy. It wasn't so great, but it's who you hang with, and now hanging out with John Hamm, Jeremy Renner. This looks like a perfect film for him too. So yeah, June 15th, U.S. Let's see, where is it? When's it jump all? Yeah, it's pretty much a run around June through a number of countries, including Netherlands and Russia and Bulgaria. July in the UK, Sweden, July 25th. Be on the lookout. Looks funny. That's
awesome.
Me. Who's next? How are you gonna do this?
I suppose I should give it to Steve since he posted first.
Oh, excellent. That's a good way to do it.
There we go. I'm always Johnny on the spot with these because if I find something I love, I got to take it because I never know when you guys are going to snag things. Because honestly, both of your trailers were ones that were in the running, but when I saw this just took the cake for me because there's something about a story where we have like an everyman detective that really appeals to me, like, Big Lebowski, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. And so I'm always up for take a guy and throw him into a mystery that he's trying to solve. And then in this trailer, you have these very Lynchian moments. Patrick Fischler saying, "Our world is filled with codes and subliminal messages." This is Under the Silver Lake, which comes out in June. And this is Andrew Garfield who has this mysterious woman that shows up in the pool of his apartment. And then she disappears and he goes on a journey to figure out what happens and just the most bizarre things he encounters trying to find out secret codes and everything and solve a puzzle. And it just has a tremendous cast. We've got Andrew Garfield. We've got Topher Grace in there, who I love and have not seen him in enough things recently. And Elvis's granddaughter, Riley Keough, who I loved in Logan Lucky. So I was excited to see her in this. And this is just one of these out of left field weird movies that I get really excited and hyped about.
Yeah, I agree. It has that Lynch. When you said David Lynch, that was exactly what I thought when I was watching this trailer. Is it totally feels like just a really crazy David Lynch movie. It got me very excited to just kind of see the twists and turns that it was taking. And I don't know. It's one of those stories that I don't know if I really understand what the plot is going to be, but to a certain extent, I just don't care because it has such a weird vibe through the whole trailer. I did really enjoy It Follows that David Robert Mitchell also wrote and directed before this one. And it was a really well done, creepy horror movie that I thought was pretty great. And so I'm excited to see what he does here.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I mean, just there's that long tracking shot of him walking down the sidewalk talking to his mom on the phone. He says, "I'm fine, Mom." Well, mostly fine. And that movie just sort of, that shot encapsulates my entire feeling about the trailer. It's just, it's got a really weird sort of charm to it. And so, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. But you're right, man, this cast just nails it. It almost feels like just the right material to put these people together. So I'm very excited for it. Looks great.
And I do have to say, after watching all of our trailers, I think what I'm seeing now is the trend in really good trailers is finding just the right song. So in Tag, you've got, of course, Can't Touch This,
Yep.
played. And here we've got Violent Femmes added up as he's trying to, put all the pieces together. And I just saw that working so well with these trailers. And I started thinking, is that the thing now with trailers of you have to have a recognizable song to connect an audience to the trailer? Because we don't have voiceover man anymore telling us, in a world where a woman disappears, one man is on a quest to find out what happened. We get a song to sort of carry the emotional through line to that.
Well, that's certainly something that we've been seeing for a while. Because I remember when in like Killing of a Sacred Deer, it had a very prominent song. I can't remember what it was, but even going all the way back to David Fincher's Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Oh yeah,
yeah. It's really, it has become quite a thing to boost trailers with a very popular song, or I should say, it's almost like oftentimes, maybe not in these ones, but oftentimes it's a very popular song that's being covered in an interesting way for the trailer.
True. Oh, that's right. Like, what was it? Yeah, I guess we did talk about that with Murder on the Orient Express, of how that song just did not really fit
right
with that trailer. And
have you guys seen the recut of Solo? Or not even a recut. I don't even think the thing was recut at all. The Solo trailer with Beastie Boys, Sabotage. And I'm not kidding. It will make you want to see that movie. It is just, it's fantastic.
It worked for Star
that song
Trek.
has now been so overused in Star Trek, but I'm telling you, it works really well. And this is just a fan recut. When you watch these trailers kind of back to back, you get I kind of want to see Solo, and then, I'm going to see Solo. It's a great sort of case study.
It's awesome.
Andy, tell us about your song that went with your trailer.
Well, unfortunately, I don't remember the song in the trailer.
You don't?
I don't.
It was Enya. You've got Enya.
That's right.
Yeah,
It was
Sail Away.
Yes.
That's right. How could I forget? My trailer is the. It looks like a spiritual partner to Edge of 17, the Haley Steinfeld movie that came out. This is Bo Burnham's film, 8th Grade, that to a certain extent almost looks like. I don't want to say a little more of an honest take, because I think Edge of 17 had that, but there's something about this that just feels like it has that gritty kind of feel that just made it feel like really kind of painfully true. And I think Edge of 17 is there. So maybe they are more spiritual sisters. But 8th Grade, with the amazing Elsie Fisher starring as Kayla, our principal, is this story of this young girl trying to survive the last week of 8th grade before going off to high school. And it just has that sense of the pain of those years in school that just feels so everything just feels so much bigger than it really is. Elsie Fisher is she just looks fantastic in the trailer. She is mostly known, I guess, as a voice as Agnes in the Despicable Me films, with her fantastic fluffy unicorns and everything. She's just adorable in those. But here she's playing this shy 8th grader, and just watching her go through the motions in this trailer, it just felt so true. And it was hilarious, and it was painful, and I just thought it was awesome. Josh Hamilton plays her dad. It looks kind of like a single dad sort of situation. He's one of those actors who, I've been seeing him on screen for decades now, but he's just one of those faces that is just kind of always kind of an ever-present sort of guy. I always enjoy him, even if I don't always remember that he's in stuff. But it's just one of those things. I really enjoyed the trailer. I enjoyed the vibe. What'd you guys think of this one?
Oh, this was going to be one of my picks. Like I said, I'm
really surprised you didn't get this first.
Yeah,
Steve. This seems like
you know what?
your pick.
I
With
almost
the two teenage daughters.
I almost went with it last week, possibly, and I thought because I had just done Flower the week before, and I didn't want to do two. Steve's got an obsession with movies about teenage girls. No, not going to do that. But no, this is one where, because sort of have lived through this, and Andy, it's like you're right in the sweet spot for this movie. But yeah, no, like I said, as I was talking about Love, Simon, these movies that take the trauma of being a teenager and treat it with such respect. It's not the cheesy 90s version. It's like just really, as you said, sort of like gritty, real of this is what it's like. And it's not always pretty. And we're not going to, make, the other thing is you look at the cast of the kids and you've got all the awkwardness of teenager. It's not like, wow, it looks like the next cast of 90210 where everybody's got perfect skin, perfect teeth, and perfect hair. These
high schoolers are actually just sort of young looking 28-year-olds.
Yes,
right.
Exactly. I mean, these are kids with braces, and you've got just that whole diverse mess
Pimples,
of being everything. And that it just, says your story is important. So yeah, this is something I'm just really thrilled to see this, and where this goes. With Elsie, I think that's, a starring role there where she's not just a voice, to see where this launches her career.
Absolutely.
And again, on that song, I mean, I was a little older than 8th grade when Watermark was released, that album, but it became a pretty significant soundtrack of that year. And Orinoco Flow was just, I mean, it was right there. So hearing that music, the first chord, in this trailer, put me right where I needed to be. To kind of join with these characters and feel their weirdness. It was really just perfect.
Have either of you guys followed Bo Burnham at all on his YouTube channel or any of his other comedy shows or anything he's done? No. I haven't either, but I just reading about him, it's interesting. I mean, this is a guy who really kind of got his start on his YouTube channel and then just kind of blew up as far as you look at him on Wikipedia, it says, he's an American comedian, singer-songwriter, musician, rapper, actor, director, screenwriter, and poet. It's like, wow, he's a very busy boy, this Bo Burnham. So, Anyway, this opens in July. It doesn't have a specific date yet, but definitely something that is on my list.
All right, let's do the list. Now, I was not here last week. How would you like to set this up?
Well, our movie we're talking about this week is Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, and there certainly is some revenge taking place in the film. So we thought, hey, let's pick our favorite revenge films. So I guess we'll just we'll kick it off. Who wants to start?
Steve, why don't you start?
Okay, I'll steal all the things. I steal all the movies. I always go first and steal all the movies. So
the good thing about this is there are a lot.
Oh,
so
there are.
There are so many.
Yes. So and I tried to focus on what are movies that have been overlooked or people have forgotten about them that I think are worth revisiting when you think about revenge movies, because there's always something out there. So I wanted to dig sort of into the deep cuts here. So one of the most innovative and daring things I ever saw in a movie was when Steven Soderbergh decided to cast Terrence Stamp and then use as flashbacks footage from films that Terrence Stamp starred in, a film he starred in back in like 1960 something. So I'm talking about The Limey, 1999, which is about a man that Terrence Stamp, who just got out of prison and is on a quest to find the man that killed his daughter. And the way that Soderbergh integrates these flashback scenes, and just to see Terrence Stamp as the lead in a film. This is Soderbergh when he was in his I'm going to do one for me and one for the studios. And this is his one for me film that is just, I remember really enjoying it, with Soderbergh sort of operating with his freedom to do what he wants. I haven't seen it in a long time. And as I was putting together my list and this one came up, I said, I definitely need to revisit this one. It's been far too long, because I remember just having a great time with this one.
I think we're getting to a point where you're going to have to start picking a Soderbergh movie every time. Oh, all right.
No, we're not.
Have you guys seen this one?
I saw it. I feel like I saw this one when it came out in the theater. I can't remember if I saw it in the theater or when it was first released on DVD. But it's definitely something that's worth revisiting for me, because I remember enjoying it quite a bit. And I remember really just being incredibly impressed with Terrence Stamp and what he was doing in the film. Yeah. It was a thrilling film. It was hitting that point in Soderbergh's career where I started not wanting to see everything that he did, because he started kind of, for my tastes, kind of going off the rails and doing stuff when he was doing the ones for him. It was like a little too much. Like, I think what was the breaking point for me was that the one where he had like all of the actors sign a contract saying you don't get your trailers, you don't get your assistants, it's very low budget.
Oh, that was Full Frontal. Yeah.
Oh man, and I hated that so much. it was just one of the worst experiences. So that kind of was the killing point for me with Soderbergh. I had to break up with him for a while, but I think this was before Full Frontal, and I do remember enjoying this quite a bit.
Yeah.
Well, I have never broken up with Soderbergh. We've had moments,
Go watch
but
Full Frontal.
we never called it off. No, I know. I maybe I'm saving myself. I'm living in blissful ignorance. But I haven't seen this one either, and I am a Soderbergh fan, so I feel like I need to fill in the hole. This is a good one. Okay, well, so Andy, you want to go next? You want me to go next?
Go for it.
Do you want to take the risk? All right,
I'm going to take
here
the
we go.
risk. I'm going to see if I can go through this without you guys stealing mine.
He's going to have us do all of ours, and then he'll just...
Yeah, we're just going to go back and forth, and then Andy will do all three. I went back in time a little bit on this one, and honestly, when I heard you guys picking revenge films, this was the first and only film I could think of for a long time, except for John Wick. And I'm talking about Sam Peckinpah's original 1971 Straw Dogs, based on the book The Siege of Trencher's Farm by Gordon M. Williams. This is a really controversial movie for the time, and is largely credited with a ramp in violence in movies as a result of a number of things going on in this film. A rape scene, and then, of course, Dustin Hoffman going absolutely crazy in the latter half of this film. And there's some stuff that's hard to watch, certainly not as hard to watch as many of the films that we see today, but you can certainly see where this film actually represents a pivot of sorts. And I think it's worth seeing. It's worth seeing just for Dustin Hoffman's performance, how he pivots in the film from being a guy who runs away to a guy who stops running. And, if anything, the last sort of 5 minutes of the film, as you watch him settle into a new normal, it's really powerful filmmaking. So I'm a fan of this movie, Straw Dogs. I think it's worth seeing if you've missed it.
Well, it didn't take long for someone to steal one of mine.
How's that little game working out for you, Andy?
So much for that. Check that game off. I love this movie. It is a really hard movie to watch, but it's an incredibly powerful one. So good choice, Pete. I'm glad you put it on the list.
Excellent. Thank you, Andy.
Well, Steve, have you seen it? Have you seen Straw Dogs?
No, because everybody tells me it's a tough watch, and it's one of those where I don't know when I'm ready to sit down and put myself through that. So it's on my list of like classics that I regret not having seen yet. So,
yeah.
That's exactly the list it belongs on. Yeah,
absolutely. My first choice is a more recent film. It is from 2013. Jeremy Saulnier directed this with starring Mason Blair. It is a really amazing film that was funded through Kickstarter, showing what Kickstarter campaigns can do. It is Blue Ruin, a really, really powerful movie about revenge and what happens when revenge starts begetting revenge, and how it just kind of downward spirals into everybody dying. Really, really amazing film, following this, you start off following kind of this guy who seems like a beach bum. And then all of a sudden you get this policewoman coming over and talking to him and saying, hey, they're releasing the guy who killed your parents. And then it just goes into this crazy, crazy journey. I was blown away when I watched this movie. I really was impressed with what Jeremy was doing with the directing here, and Mason Blair as the lead was just kind of mesmerizing. He followed it up with Green Room, which a lot of people really praised and loved. I enjoyed it. I didn't love it as much as this one. I think this is the highlight of his career at this point. But that's my first choice, Blue Ruin.
I haven't seen that one either.
I haven't seen that one.
You guys definitely need to check this one out.
I think it's been on Netflix on and off, shows up there or moves around online. So I know it's always out there, but okay. It gets Andy's seal of approval. So okay.
Really worth checking out. So look at it when you get a chance.
All right, Steve, number 2.
Let's see. I guess I'm going to work back chronologically to 1995 when Antonio Banderas was looking for a man who calls himself Bucho. but they had to do it the hard way. I'm talking about Robert Rodriguez's Desperado, which was his sequel to El Mariachi. I remember seeing this in the theater and just having so much fun with this. And I remember being highly criticized at the time for having this like MTV style of editing and ridiculous things like rocket launchers and guitar cases. But Antonio Banderas and Steve Buscemi, and I think the first time American audiences got to see Salma Hayek, just a movie that is one of my favorites. It's just a fun thrill ride of vengeance and bloodshed and explosions.
Wonderful. I love that you picked that. It is a steal. I'm on the board, and it's a steal because I picked El Mariachi for something a little while ago, and I was so excited that I could follow up to that. So, well done, Steve. All right, my number 2, gentlemen. I have to tell you, I can't make new memories.
Oh,
it's funny. The number of people that I have been mentioning that I was going to pick Memento, who haven't seen Memento. For me, it feels like a movie that you just have to have seen. And I forget that it actually takes effort to go find a movie and actually sit down and watch it. I feel like everybody's just seen it, so that we can talk about it.
Maybe they've seen it and forgotten it, and they forgot to tattoo on their arm that they've watched it already.
Tattoo, that's right. Not enough Post-it notes and Polaroids. I was blown away by this movie, and I feel like it didn't. I wish I could have my theater experience back to relive, because I really enjoyed what Christopher Nolan was doing with this movie. And I feel like, I don't know, I feel like it's a movie that people change their opinion of it based on whatever Nolan has done since. And that is sometimes works in its favor and sometimes does not. And for me, it's a movie that's just, every time I go back to it, I really enjoy what it's doing. It's not like I See Dead People, it's a movie that I can watch again and enjoy and get something new out of, even though I know what the mechanics of the film are doing. So, for me, Guy Pearce, Carrie-Anne Moss, and Joe Pantoliano are just at the top of their game. I love what they're doing throughout. So, number 2, Memento.
Good pick. That's a good one.
Oh, that's a great pick. Yeah. One that I remember seeing it the first time and just my head exploded by the time I got to the end. It just, just a brilliant film that it's been a long time since I've seen. So that's one to, I wondered how well it was going to hold up upon repeated viewing. And so I sort of set it aside because I thought, well, I really enjoyed that experience the first time, but with a big reveal like that, I didn't know how well it would hold up. So you're saying it's definitely worth a revisit because there's new stuff to discover. You're enjoying it every time.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And I think Christopher Nolan and Jonathan Nolan are whatever you think of the stories, they're meticulous filmmakers.
Oh yes.
And
yes.
The attention to detail is very important to them. And so it's a movie that it doesn't drop too many clues. And so when you watch it again, knowing how it actually falls together, it's extremely gratifying to see that it actually works. They're not just pulling one over on you. So I really enjoy it.
Good choice. Well, for my second pick, I'm looking at Steven Spielberg's 2005 film Munich, which, again, the violence begets violence. This is a secret account of retaliation that the Israel government planned against the PLO after the Munich massacre in the 1972 Munich Olympics. I know this film is a little divisive sometimes with some people, but I found it to be an incredibly powerful film about violence and revenge and what it does to a person, and watching Eric Bana as his character kind of goes through this retaliation and pulls it off, and how at the end of the film it really leaves him kind of this broken man, and here he is kind of suffering PTSD, and he's thinking that he's being followed all the time, and it was a really good example for me, showing how this mindset with a person is not a good thing. And this whole idea of revenge really can break you down and turn you into something that's not who you are anymore, which I guess you could say we see in Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance as well. For me, it was a really powerful experience. I love the movie. I think it's one of Spielberg's greats. And so that's my second choice, Munich.
I need to revisit that one.
It's a strong film. Again, I know some people are divided on it, but I thought it was pretty great.
I guess, I didn't see it in the theater. I waited to watch it on video at home, and maybe because I'd heard like, oh, it's this divisive film, and that it's one where I didn't hate it. Wasn't one of my favorites of the year. I think, Spielberg will always find a way to tell a compelling story, and yeah, it's one that I enjoyed, but it just didn't leave its mark on me that way. But it's one I'm open to revisiting because, again, I think they're great filmmakers make films that you can revisit and you will have a different experience depending where you are in your life or what's going on. So that's one that I'm open to. Yeah.
Well, I think it's worth revisiting. I think it's a really interesting one. So,
it's one of those. My memory of it was that Eric Bana outshined the movie overall. That he was just amazing, and the movie was good.
Yeah,
Well, and I think that's one of the things is a lot of people's criticism was we didn't get to know these guys enough. This team, Daniel Craig's in it. It's a great group of people, but we don't really get to see who they are more. And I don't know. I guess I ended up disagreeing with that. I felt like I got a nice sense of this team and just how they operated and everything. I don't know. I really like it. But again, I totally get that it's one that didn't click for everybody. But for me, it's a good one. So,
well, I think it's, Pete, I think to that point, sometimes people have a certain expectation of what type of film they're going to get. And I think a lot of times what I see with Spielberg, what he's doing with his sort of historical, stories that he's taking on, whether it's this or Bridge of Spies or The Post, is it's not so much about, hey, you're going to go on a journey with these characters. It's, here's a movie that's about a point in history about what was going on that is resonating with things that are going on today to get us to reflect on that. Because I see that with, The Post and particularly like Bridge of Spies, where it's like, what do we value as Americans? So I think that's the challenge when you have like Eric Bana and Daniel Craig. You're like, okay, yeah, it's going to be, this, big thrilling action movie. And it's not that. And I think that's part of why I struggled with it, because I wasn't connecting with what Spielberg was trying to tell me with this film, which wasn't, oh, here's an entertaining action movie with this, these guys on this mission. It's look at what's going on sort of politically and culturally. And so that's sort of the lens I think I need to take when I revisit it. So,
I think that's smart. What's your next one?
My next one is 1992, Clint Eastwood's great Western, perhaps the last great Western ever made. I don't know. This is one that just epic story of a man drawn out of retirement to take a job as a mercenary, and does that and runs cross paths with the sheriff that's not going to put up with shenanigans in his town, and then it turns into a revenge story, and then like the gloves come off and Clint Eastwood and Gene Hackman, and it's just to me, like a great, perfect film. 1992's Unforgiven.
I'm here to kill you, little Bill.
Yep.
Such a great movie. I was really close to putting on my list. I'm glad it's out there, though, because it's one that everybody should see.
But last great Western. I mean, what about Wild Wild West?
Because I don't think there needs to be a Western the story to be told as a Western. I think you can set movies in the West and have cowboys and do things, but I think this is truly like the great American Western story.
Here's the thing. I think you're absolutely right. I really do. And if there would have been a way to put Val Kilmer's Doc Holliday in this movie, it would have been the super, super perfect Western. Because that was a standout performance in an otherwise good movie, but it needs to be in the canonical perfect Western.
Yes.
That performance. You're going to skin that smoke wagon, you're just going to stand there and bleed. Oh, God. Awesome. Forget it.
All right, Pete. What's up?
Okay. Well, I think you guys should know there is only one more true revenge movie to put on the list. Everything you've said is fine, but there is no other truly revenge movie that belongs on the list. So everything you're going to say from now on, Andy, your last one obviously doesn't count because this is the perfect revenge movie. It is, yeah. Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh, it's right there in the title. Why didn't we see that?
It's right there in the title. I cannot believe I was allowed to get to number one with this movie. Their time has come, gentlemen. Jeff Kanu directing, a screenplay by Steve Zacharias and Jeff Buhai. This is an amazing college comedy starring Robert Carradine, Anthony Edwards, Ted McGinley, Bernie Casey. It is just it's a riot. If you're in the right mindset, you really want to learn about the alpha betas and pi delta pi and the nerds as they reclaim their the sanctity of their nerddom over the course of an hour and a half. It's a riot to this day for me. I'm sure that it has a lot to do with my emotional state when I first saw it, but my goodness, I adore this movie, and lots of really terrible stereotypes. It's ribald and truly, I'm sure, stupid, but I don't see it that
What was
way.
your emotional state when you first saw this movie?
Well, I mean, come on. It came out in 1984.
Well, I know, but so did you see it in 1984? Was this
I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't, but I definitely saw it when I
hormonal teenager?
As a hormonal teenager, and so I saw it at a point where it felt much more like a grown-up movie than I deserved to see.
Sure.
And so it felt like I was getting away with something seeing this movie. Like there's no way mom and dad would allow me to see this
No,
movie.
because if you look at the IMDb plot keywords, there's breasts, cleavage, female removes her clothes, female nudity.
Yeah, there's a category,
topless.
right? I mean, this is
bare breasts. Okay, yeah.
I love that these are all categories.
I know. IMDb categories are the worst.
There's a category breasts and bare breasts.
Yes, exactly. Because sometimes they're covered, sometimes they're bare, and that's the difference. It's very important.
The worst.
Yes.
But there is some funny kind of Home Alone-esque comedy in here,
yeah.
and I had a really good time watching this movie. Now that I've been outed as a hormonal teenager, there you go. Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh, yeah, I think I snuck that one on HBO when my parents were sleeping.
So not an option
right
for family movie night. Not an option for family movie night.
No.
Except for Pete, who clearly has no sense of restriction. All right, well, gentlemen, I know this one doesn't count, Pete, but I am ending with this, which I think is a great end to the revenge series that we're doing here. It is a film that I guess in my head I didn't initially think of as a revenge film, but the more I thought about it, I'm like, it really kind of is. It is the brilliant Alex Garland film from 2015, Ex Machina, and it is it largely isn't a story about revenge. It is about this employee who wins this lottery to come to the CEO's house and kind of learn about or do tests with his AI to see if it's capable of thinking and human qualities and all this sort of stuff. And as we get to the end of the film, though, and we realize that there's kind of been this whole plot that and this is very spoilery, so if you haven't seen it, skip ahead in the show. But as the AI basically has kind of plotted this whole thing out to escape and kill her maker, lock up the other guy, and escape into the real world. And when the ending of this film came, it just blew me away. So that to me is a fantastic tale of I guess you could say revenge, as she's been created and now she's going to get rid of her maker so that she can step out into the real world. So that's my final pick.
Well, I adore this movie, but you're so right. Like the last 30 minutes of the movie, it's a hard left turn, and feels like a different movie than the one you've been watching. And it's one of those movies. I think that the second or third time I watched it, I had this sense that I really wanted to see the first hour of that movie. Right, what goes on when she's not on screen, kind of a thing.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what leads up to her? You know, what's the planning of the caper? You know, well, then we're going to kill this. Well, anyway, I think it's absolutely fantastic, and you know, it's not just great science fiction. It's just a great film. So, great pick,
Alex Garland. I mean, that's one where to see a guy that's been working as a writer with some interesting scripts, you know, take the helm of a movie and just deliver something that is just sort of stellar. Yeah, that's right up there. So totally agree.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Well,
all right.
What are we going to do? We've got 2 more films full of revenge.
I know.
You know, I think Nick Langdon over in Discord said we could do great long shots, because we do have in Old Boy, we have a pretty spectacular long shot as he well, I guess we shouldn't jump into it too much, but there is a great long shot in that film, and so we could do our favorite films with some fantastic long shots.
Yeah, for me, I read that post in Discord, and that locked it for me. I didn't even do any more thinking about it.
Yeah,
I feel like we have to do long shots.
Right. Okay. Well,
but I have to ask: is it just any long shot, or do we put some criteria around it? Because in Old Boy, you know, there's something going on. It's not just one of those long tracking shots like follow shots.
Yeah, right. It's not like well, I don't know, because even in a long tracking shot, I mean, I think there's some impressive stuff that obviously is happening.
It has to happen, right? But I just mean there are a lot of those. You know, that we could choose from. We've talked about a number of them on the show, right? Just let's put a camera behind a character and walk through an amazing set,
right,
where hundreds of people are doing amazing things.
Like Bushwick, right? Like Bushwick, right? Right, Pete? Bushwick?
Note to self, Bushwick, number 1.
Well, what would you have in mind? Like in action scenes?
Well, that's what I was saying. Like maybe the part of the criteria is it has to be a long shot that is not just a follow shot, right? There has to be some sort of action taking place beyond walking through a set.
So we can't do the Aaron Sorkin walk and talk long shot.
Yeah,
we want something more going on.
But like when you say like follow, like I mean, does something like Boogie Nights count? Like I mean, we've talked about that on the show.
That's actually because your Boogie Nights is the example I was saying that would be restricted.
So you can't, because we're following the character, but we're swinging around the room, meeting a lot of other characters. So that's the sort of thing that we're not going to include.
I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking.
But something like Children of Men,
that my personal thing.
Children of Men is okay, where we're still following them, but there's a war going on around them.
Yeah, it's a straight up action sequence. Okay. Yeah.
Well, I think if we just restrict it to action sequences, long takes in an action sequence, then that...
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sure we can come up with something. Is there a restriction to length when we're calling it a long take?
Oh. That's a great
this
point.
This one's like 12 seconds long. It's amazing.
Because a Michael Bay long take.
Yeah.
If it's 10 seconds, that's pretty long.
Yeah, Michael Bay makes it to 7 seconds.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Right.
I think we just start long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll know.
Yeah.
Like dogs playing poker. We'll know.
Okay. All right.
Excellent.
Hey, nice set of movies, gents. There are some I definitely need to see. And
some worth revisiting in here too.
Yeah.
Some definitely worth revisiting. Absolutely. This was a great selection. Thank you, everybody on the Patreon supporter list. We sure appreciate it. And we love that you're hopefully doing dishes to our Saturday matinee. Hope some of these movies are good ones to add to your own list. Thanks for your support on Patreon. And gentlemen, Andy, Steve, have a great week.
You too, man.
All right. Thank you.